Britain is old. Older than its stories. Older than the names people have given its hills and rivers and the dark places between its forests. It has been inhabited for so long that the earliest layers of human presence have sunk beneath the surface of things and become part of the land itself. You feel it in certain places. Standing on a high moor in the late afternoon, when the light is failing and the wind is moving through the grass. Standing at the edge of a stone circle whose builders have no name in any language still spoken. Standing at the foot of a chalk hill, carved with a figure so old, no one remembers what it means. The land carries all of it. The Roman roads are still there under the grass. The Saxon field boundaries are still there under the hedgerows. And under all of that, deeper still, something older. Something that does not have a name in any language. Only a feeling. A quality of presence in the land itself. Britain is an island, and islands have a particular character. They are defined by their edges, by the sea that holds them. The sea around Britain is rarely still. It moves in long grey swells from the west. It pushes against the cliffs and pulls back and pushes again. It has been doing this since before any human being stood on the shore and watched it. In the age when this story begins, the sea felt closer than it does now. The forests were larger. The distances between settlements were greater. The dark between one fire and the next was deeper. This was Britain in the years after the Romans had gone. The roads they had built were still there. But the order they had imposed was gone. The island was alone with itself, with its forests and its rivers and its ancient stones, with its warring tribes and its small kingdoms and its memories of something larger. The people who lived on the island remembered Rome. They remembered what it had meant to be part of something organized. Something connected. The memory of it made the present feel smaller, made the fractures and the fighting feel like a falling away from something that had once been better. But Britain had also always been itself beneath the Roman layer. The old Britain. The one that built the stone circles and carved the chalk figures and kept to its own gods and its own ways. That Britain was still there. In the high places. In the old forests where the trees grew so large and close that the light never properly reached the ground. In the way certain rivers ran through the landscape as if they had always known exactly where they were going. In the quality of the silence on a winter hillside when the wind dropped and you stood still and felt the land breathing around you. Into this world, a story was beginning. It had been beginning for a long time before anyone knew it. The land was waiting for something. Not passively waiting. The way old things wait. With the patience of something that has already seen many things come and will see many things go. With the knowledge that what is needed will arrive when it is ready. The story of Arthur begins here. In this old island, in this patient land. There was a king. His name was Uther Pendragon. The name meant something. Pendragon was a title as much as a name. It meant head dragon or chief dragon in the old tongue. It was the title of the High King, the king above the other kings, the one to whom the lesser kings of Britain owed their allegiance. Uther had earned it, not inherited it. He had fought for it through years of war and negotiation, and the slow, difficult business of bringing fractious men to a common table. He was not a simple man. He was capable of great loyalty and of great stubbornness. He was brave in the way that men of his time and place needed to be brave. Physically, practically brave. The kind of bravery that is tested not in a single moment, but across years of hard living. He understood his kingdom. He understood that Britain's weakness was always itself, its tendency to fracture along old lines. Kingdom against kingdom. Family against family. Memory against memory. He had spent his reign trying to hold those fractures closed. With varying success, he held council twice a year, at which the lords of Britain were expected to attend. He managed these gatherings with the care of a man who knows that the wrong word in the wrong moment can undo months of careful work. He was patient in the council hall. He let men speak who needed to speak. He heard grievances that bored him. He mediated disputes that seemed trivial. He did it because he understood that the feeling of being heard matters. That a man who feels heard is less likely to reach for his sword. Outside the council hall, he was harder. He did not tolerate defiance of the High King's authority. He moved against those who tested it with speed and force. He was not cruel about it. He was efficient. He wanted the result, not the punishment. He had allies and he had enemies, and some of the people he thought were allies were in fact enemies, and this too he understood eventually. He sat in his hall in the evenings and he looked at the faces around him and he tried to read them accurately. He was sometimes right. He was sometimes wrong. He was a king of his time. Imperfect and real and trying, in the way that people try when they understand what is at stake. He held Britain together for as long as he could. And then he fell in love. And everything that followed came from that. Gorlois was one of the most loyal men in Uther's kingdom. He was the Duke of Cornwall, lord of the far southwestern peninsula, where the land narrows to a point. Cornwall was different from the rest of Britain. It always had been. The landscape was harder there. The stone came to the surface everywhere. The wind off the Atlantic had a particular quality. Salt and force and the smell of deep water. The tin came from Cornwall. Merchants had been coming for it since before anyone had written anything down. The people who lived there had lived there for a very long time. They had their own ways and their own memory and their own language that sat alongside the common tongue like a relative who has come to stay and never quite left. They did not give their loyalty easily. Gorlois had their loyalty. He had earned it in the same way that Uther had earned his title. Through consistency. through being the same man in difficulty as he was in ease. He was not a complicated man in the way that Uther was complicated. He was straightforward. He said what he meant. He did what he said. When he pledged his support to Uther, he meant it completely, and he kept it completely. He sent his men when Uther called for them. He came himself when presence was required. He paid what was owed. He asked for nothing he was not entitled to. This made him valuable to Uther, and it also made him, in the end, vulnerable. Because a straightforward man in a complicated situation does not always have the tools the situation requires. His castle was at Tintagel. It sat on a headland above the sea, connected to the mainland by a narrow bridge of rock. In storms, the sea came up on both sides of the headland, and the spray reached the castle walls. It was a dramatic place. A place that felt like the edge of something. Like the last solid ground before the open Atlantic. On clear days, you could stand on the walls of Tintagel and look west and see nothing but water all the way to the horizon. Just a grey sea and the grey sky and the white line, where the waves broke against the base of the headland far below. Gorlois lived there with his household and his men and his wife. Her name was Igraine. She was not simply beautiful. Many women in the courts of kings are beautiful. Beauty in those settings is common enough to be unremarkable. Igraine had something else. A quality of presence. A stillness at the center of her that did not shift depending on circumstances. She had come to Tintagel as a young woman, married to Gorlois, and she had made her life there with the completeness that some people bring to the lives they are given. She was not restless. She did not yearn for something other than what she had. She understood the castle and the headland and the sea below. She understood the people of Cornwall, and they understood her. She had learned their ways and their language, and the particular humor of people who have lived for generations at the edge of the world. They trusted her. She was respected in a way that went beyond her position as the Duke's wife. People brought her their problems because she listened and gave honest answers. She did not tell people what they wanted to hear. She told them what she actually thought. This is a rarer gift than it sounds. She loved Gorlois. Not with the passionate, disruptive love of songs and stories. With the deeper, quieter love of two people who have built something together and know the value of what they have built. A love that is visible in the small things. In the way they moved through the same space without crowding each other. In the way they finished each other's thoughts without needing to. In the way she could tell from across a room that something was wrong with him before anyone else had noticed. She was content. This is worth saying. She was a woman who had found the shape of her life and inhabited it fully. She was not looking for anything else. She did not feel the absence of anything. The headland and the sea and the castle and the man she had chosen. These were enough. More than enough. And then Uther saw her at a feast. She did not see it happen. She was talking to someone on her left when Uther looked at her from across the hall. She did not feel his gaze. She was simply talking, as she always was, with her full attention on the person in front of her. But Uther saw her. And the thing that began in him in that moment was not a small thing. It was the kind of thing that moves a man off the course he has been on for years, that rearranges everything. Gorlois noticed. He noticed the way that a careful man notices things, without making it known that he had noticed. He noticed, and he felt the first cold touch of something he did not yet have a name for. He put his hand on Igraine's arm as they were leaving the hall. She looked at him. He said nothing. He did not need to. She understood. She had seen it too. They walked out together into the night, and neither of them spoke of it, and both of them were thinking of nothing else. It consumed him. This is the honest word for it. Uther was not a young man given to infatuation. He had lived a full life and had known women, and had felt the ordinary movements of desire, and had managed them as a man of his position was expected to manage them. This was different. This was not a feeling he could manage. It sat in him like a stone. He went back to his own hall, and he could not think clearly about the things he needed to think clearly about. He found himself in the middle of a council discussion about grain supply for the eastern garrisons, and he realized he had heard nothing of the last 10 minutes. He was thinking about Igraine, about the way she had been talking to the person beside her at the feast, the attention she had brought to it. He had wanted in that moment to be the person she was talking to. He had wanted nothing else. He sent messages to Gorlois that were too warm, too insistent. He found reasons for Gorlois to come to court, where Igraine would come with him. Gorlois came twice. The second time he left earlier than expected. He made an excuse. It was a polite excuse, a believable excuse. But Uther understood it. He understood that Gorlois was removing Igraine from his proximity. This made it worse. The wanting became more acute when the thing wanted was further away. He knew this about himself. He knew it was not reasonable. He could not stop it. Gorlois understood what was happening. He was not a foolish man. He took Igraine and left the court without permission. He went back to Cornwall. He fortified Tintagel. He sent word to his allies. He did what a loyal man does when loyalty is no longer possible. He prepared. Uther was furious at the departure. Not with the fury of a king insulted, though there was that too. With the fury of a man who has been separated from something he cannot stop wanting. He declared Gorlois a traitor. The accusation was thin. Everyone knew it was thin. Leaving court without permission was a discourtesy, not a treason. But Uther was the High King, and what he declared became the reality that others had to respond to. He called his forces together. He marched on Cornwall. It was not a righteous war. Everyone who watched it knew that. It was a king using the power of his kingdom to pursue a personal obsession. The petty kings who followed him did so because they had to. Because refusing the high king had consequences. Not because anyone believed Gorlois was truly a traitor. They rode south into Cornwall. The country changed around them as they went. Harder and more exposed. The stone coming to the surface. The sea visible on both sides as they pushed west. The army came to Tintagel and looked at it. The headland, the narrow bridge of rock. The castle on its promontory above the water. There was no way to take it by force. Everyone who looked at it understood that. You could besiege it, wait for the food to run out. But that would take months. Uther looked at Tintagel from the mainland and he felt the distance between himself and the woman inside it like a physical pain. He sent for Merlin. He had been there for a long time. This is the first thing to understand about Merlin. He was not young when Uther knew him. He had not been young for a very long time. He moved through the world with the quality of someone who has seen many things come and go and has learned to be patient about it. His origins were strange. The stories say that his father was not a mortal man. That something from the other world had a hand in his making. Whether this was true or a story people told to explain someone who did not fit the ordinary categories, it gave him a particular nature. He had been born in the border country between the ordinary world and the other one. And he had spent his life moving between them. He saw things other people did not see. Not visions exactly. More like a different relationship with time. He understood what was coming with a clarity that was sometimes useful and sometimes terrible. He had served Uther's father before Uther. He had watched Britain through many of its difficult passages. He had a perspective on it that no one who had lived only one ordinary life could have. He was not comfortable to be around. Not because he was unkind. He could be kind. He was capable of great warmth with people he trusted. But there was always, underneath the warmth, the sense that he was seeing more than he was saying. That behind his eyes something was calculating. Weighing. Measuring what was happening against what he knew was coming. He was not a man you could deceive. He was not a man you could manipulate. He was not a man you could easily dismiss. He told the truth, sometimes harshly, sometimes gently, but always the truth as he saw it. He had served kings long enough to know that telling the truth to power is a delicate art. You had to find the moment. You had to find the words that the king could hear even when the king did not want to hear. He had been watching what was happening between Uther and Gorlois. He had seen it before it became what it became. He had said what he could to Uther in the early stages. He had used every skill he had at finding the words that could be heard. Uther had not listened. Men consumed by wanting rarely do. Merlin accepted this. He did not accept it passively. He began to think about what came next, about what would be needed. Not by Uther, by Britain. He was always thinking about Britain, about the shape of what was coming, about what the island needed in the years ahead. He had seen it. Not clearly. He rarely saw things clearly, but he had seen enough. A king unlike the ones before. A court built on something other than force. A fellowship. The image of it had been with him for years. He had been waiting for the right beginning. He believed, looking at the situation now, that he had found it. He went to Uther in the camp outside Tintagel. He told him he could help. He told him the price. The price was simple to state. It was not simple in its consequences. Merlin told Uther that he could give him one night at Tintagel. One night in which Uther would appear to be Gorlois. To everyone in the castle. To the guards. To the household. To Igraine. The magic that could accomplish this was real. Merlin had done stranger things. But it required something in return. Whatever was conceived that night, whatever child came from it, that child would be given to Merlin, to be placed where Merlin judged best, raised as Merlin judged best, for a purpose that Merlin could see and Uther could not. Uther looked at him. He asked what purpose. Merlin told him that Britain needed a king. Not just a high king in the ordinary sense. Something larger than that. Something that could hold the island together, not through force alone, but through something else. Through an idea. Through a quality of being that would make people want to be part of what was being built. He told Uther that the child of that night, if things went as he believed they would, could be that king. He told him that the child would need to be raised in a particular way, without the weight of expectation, without the distortions that come from being raised as a prince. He would need to grow up knowing ordinary life, knowing ordinary people, knowing what it was to be simply a person in the world before he was asked to be anything more. Uther listened. He was thinking about Igraine. He was thinking about the night being offered. He told himself he was thinking about Britain. He was not only thinking about Britain. He agreed to the terms. Merlin held out his hand. They made the bargain formal in the way of that world. With words and with the clasp of hands. Merlin's grip was stronger than it looked. Uther felt it. He felt the weight of what he had agreed to. Then the feeling passed, and he was thinking about the night ahead. Merlin began his preparations. Uther went to his tent and waited for dark. Outside the camp, the wind came in off the Atlantic. The sea could be heard from the headland. Its sound was constant and indifferent. The lights of Tintagel were visible across the narrow bridge of rock. Uther watched them, and he waited. The dark came slowly, as it always does. And then it was time. The magic worked. Merlin had said it would, and it did. Uther crossed the narrow bridge to Tintagel in the dark. He wore Gorlois's face, Gorlois's voice, Gorlois's manner. He had spent time with Gorlois over the years of his reign. He knew how the man moved, how he held himself, the particular way he had of entering a room. Merlin had taken these things and built the illusion from them. It was complete. The guards at the gate let him in without question. One of them said something about being glad to see him back safely. Uther answered in Gorlois's voice, and the guard was satisfied. He walked through the castle. The household received him without alarm. He was their lord, returning from the field. Everything about him said so. The way he greeted the steward, the way he paused to speak to a kitchen woman he passed in the corridor, the way he climbed the stairs he had watched Gorlois climb 100 times in his mind. Igraine was in the upper room. She had been at the window watching the mainland, watching the fires of the besieging army, worrying about Gorlois, who was out there somewhere in the dark with his men. She heard the door. She turned. She saw her husband. The worry eased out of her face. He was here. He was safe. She went to him. She held him. She asked him how it had gone. She asked about the fighting. She asked if the men were holding. Uther answered her questions. He answered carefully. He answered with what he knew of the situation from his own side of the siege. She did not question what she saw. Why would she? She saw her husband. The night passed. What needs to be said about it can be said simply. It was a night of deception. Igraine was deceived completely. She had no part in the deception. She was not asked to consent to anything. She simply lived one night of her life in the belief that she was with the man she had chosen. She was not. At some point in that same night, far away from Tintagel, the real Gorlois died. He was killed in the fighting. His forces had engaged Uther's men. It had not gone well. The battle was over quickly. He died on the field. He did not know what was happening in his own castle. He died not knowing. In the morning, a messenger came to Tintagel with the news. He came to the gate and asked to speak to the lady of the castle. Igraine came down. She stood in the courtyard. The messenger told her what had happened. She stood very still. She listened to the words. She let them settle. Then she looked at the man who had come to her in the night. He was standing in the doorway of the hall. He was no longer wearing Gorlois's face. The magic had faded with the dawn. He was Uther. She understood everything in that moment. Everything that had happened. The feast. The siege. The night. The bargain she had not been party to. She understood it all. She said nothing. There was nothing to say that would undo it. She stood in the courtyard at Tintagel above the sea, and the world she had built was gone. And she was silent. Uther married Igraine. He did it quickly and with the appearance of legitimacy. A widow. The widow of a man who had technically been declared a traitor. A king who had defeated that traitor's forces. It was not a union anyone could easily object to on political grounds. Whether Igraine had feelings about it was not a question that the political landscape had room for. She was practical. She had always been practical. She understood what her situation was. She was a woman in that world, and her situation was what it was. She made the best of what could not be changed. She was not defeated by it. She carried herself with the same dignity she had always carried herself with. She did not give Uther the satisfaction of seeing her broken. She carried the child. She was not unaware of what the child represented. She carried it anyway. The months passed. The child grew. She felt it move. She sat by the window of her new rooms in Uther's castle, and she felt the child move, and she thought about Gorlois. She thought about the life that had been taken from her. She thought about what she owed this child who had not asked to be born into this situation. She decided that she owed it everything she had. The child was born in the winter. A boy, strong and healthy. He had Uther's coloring, but something else in his face. Something that was neither Uther nor Gorlois. Something that was entirely itself. She held him. She looked at him for a long time. She did not know yet what was coming. Merlin came. He came quietly and without ceremony. He came at night when the household was sleeping. He sat down across from Igraine and he looked at the child in her arms. He reminded Uther of the bargain. Uther looked at the child. He looked at Merlin. Something in him wanted to refuse. He had not thought clearly about what the bargain meant when he had made it. He had been thinking about Igraine. Now he was looking at a living child. His child. With a face that was its own face. Merlin waited. He was patient. He was always patient. Uther gave him the boy. What Igraine felt about this, the stories do not say fully. They say she grieved. They say she never fully recovered from that grief. They say she carried it the way some losses are carried. not loudly, not with weeping and rage. Inside, as a permanent diminishment. A piece of herself that did not grow back. Merlin took the infant and he left in the night. He rode east through the dark countryside. The child was wrapped warmly. It slept in the crook of his arm as he rode. He had already arranged what needed to be arranged. A knight named Ector. A good man. A man with a household and a small estate, and a wife and a life that was ordinary and stable and safe. A man who understood that sometimes you do what is asked of you without demanding explanations. Merlin came to Ector's door before dawn. He knocked. Ector came to the door himself. Merlin gave him the child. He told him the child's name was Arthur. He told him to raise the boy as his own, to tell him nothing of his origins, to love him as a son. Ector took the child. He looked at it. He asked no questions. He was that kind of man. Merlin rode away. The child slept in Ector's house. His wife came to the doorway where Ector stood with the infant. She looked at the child. She did not ask questions either. She took him from Ector's arms and carried him inside. Outside, the winter night was cold and still. The stars were out. The land was quiet. The child breathed steadily in the warm house. He had no idea what he was. He had no idea what was ahead of him. He slept. Arthur grew up not knowing. This is the heart of that part of the story. He grew up as the second son of a minor knight, with all that meant: a comfortable enough life, a household with enough to eat and good horses and the ordinary rhythm of a small estate in the English countryside. The estate was in the Midlands, rolling country, fields and copses and a river that ran through the lower ground. A village nearby with a church and a mill and the usual population of farmers and craftsmen and their families. The kind of place where everybody knew everybody and had known them for generations. Arthur grew up in this place. He knew the names of every family in the village. He knew which fields grew what. He knew the river in all its seasons. He knew the forest at the edge of the estate and the tracks through it, and where the deer went in winter. He had a foster brother, Kay. Kay was older. Kay was the one being groomed for the life that the household was aimed at. The tournaments, the knighthood, the career of a fighting man in service to some greater lord. Kay took this seriously. He trained hard. He was competitive. He had strong opinions about the right way to do things. Arthur was alongside all of this. Not the center of it. The younger one. The one who followed Kay around. He did not seem to mind. He had a quality, even as a boy, of being content with where he was. of being genuinely interested in whatever was in front of him. He was good with animals. The horses settled when he came into the stable. The dogs followed him rather than Kay. Even the cats, which had their own opinions about people, seemed to find him acceptable. He was good with the people of the estate, the servants and the farmers and the craftsmen. He talked to them. He listened to them. He remembered what they told him. He would spend an afternoon in the smithy watching the blacksmith work and asking questions that were genuine questions. Not the questions of a lord's son performing interest. The questions of someone who actually wanted to know how the metal moved. Why it changed color as it heated. What it sounded like when it was right. The smith would answer him. He would have answered Kay with a respectful brevity that said nothing. He answered Arthur with the full weight of 30 years of knowledge. Because Arthur was actually listening. Kay noticed this sometimes with a kind of impatience. Why was Arthur talking to the blacksmith again? They had places to be. Arthur always had a reason. He was always curious about how things worked. How the smith made the metal do what he wanted. How the carpenter read the grain of the wood. How the falconer understood the bird. How the old woman at the edge of the village knew which plants could bring a fever down. He absorbed everything he encountered. He was not being educated for kingship. He did not know he was being educated for anything in particular. He was simply living his life. A life that was unremarkable from the outside. A life that gave no indication of what it was preparing him for. Merlin watched from a distance. He came to the estate occasionally, as a traveler, as a scholar passing through. Hector always received him with a particular quietness. A quietness that said he understood who this traveler was and why he came. Merlin would spend an evening. He would observe Arthur. He would talk to him sometimes as one talks to an intelligent child, testing what was there, seeing how the mind worked. He was satisfied with what he found. Not because Arthur was extraordinary in any visible way. He was not, at 12, at 13, at 14, visibly extraordinary. He was a good boy. A curious boy. A kind boy. A boy who listened and remembered and thought before he spoke. Merlin was satisfied because Arthur was becoming himself. Fully and quietly himself. Without pretension. Without performance. Without any idea of what he was becoming. This was exactly what Merlin had hoped for. A king who had grown up not knowing he was a king. Who had learned the world from the ground up. Who knew what it was like to be ordinary before he was asked to be extraordinary. The years passed. Arthur grew. The estate continued its quiet life around him. And Uther, far away in his failing hall, was dying. Uther died. He had been declining for years. The illness that took him was slow. It took his strength first, then his ability to ride, then his ability to sit at council for a full day, then his ability to sit at council at all. He governed from his bed in the end, which is no way to govern. The messages that went out from his chamber were not always coherent. The lords who received them were not always sure what was being asked of them. They interpreted what they received in the way that was most convenient to themselves. Uther died and Britain was left without a high king. The petty kings looked at each other. Each one of them saw what the others saw. An opportunity or a threat, or both. The alliances that Uther had built through years of careful work began to loosen. Slowly at first, then faster. Old grievances came back to the surface. Border disputes that had been set aside under Uther's authority now had no authority to set them aside. Inheritance claims that had been suppressed came back as demands. Rivalries that had been managed became open hostilities. Men who had kept their ambitions private found reasons to make them public. The roads became less safe. This is always one of the first signs. When the roads are unsafe, the ordinary life of a country becomes very difficult. The merchant who cannot safely move his goods stops moving them. The craftsman who cannot safely travel to the next town stays where he is. The farmer who cannot safely sell his surplus at market keeps it. Everything contracts. Everything becomes local and cautious and afraid. Travelers moved in groups and kept to the daylight. They avoided the forest roads and the passes through the hills where a group of desperate men might be waiting. The monasteries that had been protected under Uther's peace found themselves building higher walls. The priests who had traveled freely between communities began to travel with armed escorts. The farmers who had worked their fields in reasonable security began to feel the old anxiety returning. The feeling of a world that could not be trusted to hold its shape. That could come apart at any moment. That had come apart before within living memory and might come apart again. Children who had been born in Uther's peace were now old enough to hear the stories of what it had been like before. The stories their grandparents told. Of kingdoms fighting kingdoms. Of armies moving through the countryside. Of what happened to the places armies moved through. They heard these stories and they looked at the roads becoming dangerous and the lords becoming aggressive, and they felt the future pressing toward them. Britain without a king was Britain returning to itself, to its tendency to fracture, to its long memory of grievance, to the particular sadness of a place that contains enough good people and enough bad history to never quite manage the peace it deserved. Merlin watched all of this. He had been watching it coming for a long time. He moved through the kingdom. He spoke to the bishops. The bishops were powerful in that world. They held communities together where the lords could not or would not. They had a network of communication that crossed the political boundaries. Merlin spoke to them about what was needed. He spoke to the great lords. to the ones who were not simply opportunists, to the ones who understood what was happening to the country and were troubled by it. He planted an idea. He was patient about it. He did not rush. He let the suffering of the kingless years do part of his work for him. Let the people feel what the absence of a king meant. Let them genuinely want, what was coming. He watched Arthur from his distance. Arthur was 15 now. Hector had told him that there was a tournament being held in London. A great gathering. Every knight in Britain invited. Kay was going. Of course, Kay was going. He was newly knighted. He was desperate to compete. Arthur would go as his squire. Merlin received this news. He had arranged it. Not the tournament precisely. The sword, the stone, the inscription, everything that would happen in London. He had been arranging it for years. Now the pieces were in place. He waited for the new year. It appeared in London, in the churchyard of the greatest church in the city. A stone. Not a remarkable stone. A solid block of grey rock, about waist height, about the breadth of a man's shoulders. The kind of stone you might see at the base of any old building. But in the stone, a sword. Driven into it to its hilt. The blade was visible above the stone, clean and bright. It did not rust. It did not dull. It sat in the stone as if it had always been there. As if stone and sword were one. The hilt was plain. No decoration that announced importance. No jewels. No gilding. Just a sword in a stone in a churchyard. But around the stone, cut into it, letters. Clear and deep. The letters said this: "Whoever pulls this sword from this stone is the right-born king of all Britain." The priest who served the church found it one morning when he came to open the churchyard gate. He stood and looked at it for a long time. Then he went inside and prayed. Then he came out and looked at it again. Then he sent word to the bishop. The bishop came. He stood and looked at it. He sent word further. People came to look at it. They came from the city first, then from further away as the word spread. They stood around the stone and they looked at the inscription and they looked at the sword. They talked among themselves in low voices. Men tried to pull it. Of course they did. Strong men. Important men. Men who wanted very much to be king. Men who believed they had a right to be king. Men who had armies behind them and reasons they had rehearsed and the confidence of people accustomed to getting what they reached for. They stepped up to the stone one by one. They put their hands on the hilt. They pulled. Nothing. Not a tremor, not a fraction of movement. The sword did not shift. It sat in the stone as if it had grown there, as if stone and sword were one material that had always been this shape. Some men tried more than once. Some tried with both hands. Some tried with the help of another man. None of it made any difference. The sword stayed. The stone stayed. The inscription stayed, mocking no one in particular, simply stating what it stated. The attempts continued for weeks. The churchyard became a gathering place. People came to watch the attempts. There was a strange atmosphere around it, a feeling that something important was happening. That this was one of those moments where the ordinary world and something larger were touching. Most people in that age were alive to such moments. They had grown up with a sense of the world as a layered place, where the surface of things was not the whole of things. They stood around the stone and they felt it. Something here. Something that had not been here before. Merlin watched from the edge of the crowds. He was patient. The time was not yet right. He waited for the tournament. A tournament was called. This was Merlin's suggestion, passed through the right channels, framed in the right way. A great tournament to be held in London at the New Year. Every knight in Britain was invited. Every man of fighting age with any claim to consequence. The invitation had nothing explicitly to do with the sword. It was a tournament. A celebration of the New Year. A chance for the kingdom to gather. But everyone who received the invitation understood the real purpose. Come to London. Be seen, and while you are there, perhaps try your hand at the stone. The roads filled with travellers in the weeks before the New Year. Knights and their retinues. Lords with their households. Squires and servants and grooms. Merchants following the traffic, because where people gather, trade follows. London swelled with them. Camps outside the city walls spread across the fields. The inns were full. The streets were loud with the languages of every part of Britain. The smell of fires and horses and cooking food. The sound of armourers working late into the night. The sound of men who had not seen each other in years finding each other in taverns and talking too loudly. It was the largest gathering Britain had seen since Uther's councils. There was an energy in it. Not entirely a comfortable energy. Too many powerful men in too small a space. Too many competing ambitions. Too many old scores not settled. But also something else underneath that. A hope. A fragile and cautious hope that something might come of this. That the stone in the churchyard was real. That there was a way through. Hector came. He was a knight, however minor. He had an obligation to attend. He brought Kay, who was newly knighted and burning to make his mark. He brought Arthur. Arthur came as Kay's squire. That was his role. To carry Kay's equipment. To see to his horse. To stand at the edge of things and watch his foster brother compete. He did not mind. He was interested in everything he saw. The city itself was enormous to him. He had not been to London before. The scale of it, the noise, the smell, the sheer number of people. He walked through the streets with his eyes wide and his head turning at everything. Kay told him to stop gaping. He could not stop gaping. He saw the stone in the churchyard. He read the inscription. He looked at the sword. He thought it was remarkable. He did not think of trying to pull it. That was not a thought that occurred to him. He was a squire. He had no claim to anything. He went to sleep that night in the lodging Hector had found for them. The noise of the city came through the shuttered window. Voices and horses and the distant sound of music from somewhere. He lay in the dark and he thought about the tournament in the morning. About whether Kay would do well. He hoped Kay would do well. He slept the untroubled sleep of someone who does not know what the next day contains. In the morning, Kay discovered he had left his sword at the lodging. The tournament was beginning. He could not compete without a sword. He stood in the street and he looked at Arthur. He told him to go back and get it. Arthur went. He ran back through the streets of London toward the lodging. The streets were mostly empty now. Everyone was at the tournament ground. He ran and he found the lodging locked. The landlord had gone to watch the tournament like everyone else. Arthur stood in the street. He needed a sword. Kay needed a sword. The tournament was beginning. He stood still for a moment and he thought. He had seen the sword in the churchyard. Everyone had seen it. It was close. He would borrow it. He would return it after. Kay would have a sword for the tournament. He could put it back before anyone noticed. He did not think beyond that. He was solving the immediate problem. He ran to the churchyard. It was empty. The crowds that had gathered around the stone for weeks were all at the tournament. The churchyard was quiet. Just the stone and the sword and the sound of birds somewhere in the trees above. He walked up to the stone. He read the inscription again. He had read it before. It said what it said. He put his hand on the hilt. He pulled. It came free. As easily as pulling a knife from a sheath. As easily as lifting a cup from a table. No resistance. No effort. No sensation of anything remarkable. He stood in the empty churchyard holding the sword. He looked at it. It was a good sword, well balanced, the blade clean and bright. He looked at the stone. He looked at the empty slot where the sword had been. He looked at the sword again. He was 15 years old. He did not fully understand what had just happened. He understood that the sword had come out when others had not been able to move it. He did not yet understand what that meant. He turned and ran back toward the tournament ground. He had a sword for Kay. That was what mattered. That was all he was thinking about. Kay saw the sword. He recognized it immediately. He was not stupid. He had stood with everyone else and read that inscription and looked at that blade in that stone. He looked at the sword in Arthur's hand. He looked at Arthur. His first feeling was not one he was proud of later. His first feeling was the sharp, bright feeling of possibility. He took the sword. He went to his father. He told Hector that he had the sword from the stone, that he was therefore the right-born king of Britain. He said it with the careful confidence of someone testing whether the thing they are saying can be made true by being said. Hector looked at the sword. He looked at Kay. He was very still. He asked Kay where he had gotten it. Kay looked at Arthur. A long look. Something moved across his face. Then he told the truth. Arthur had brought it. He had sent Arthur back for his sword, and Arthur had come back with this one. Hector turned to Arthur. He asked him directly. Arthur told him. He had gone to borrow it for Kay. The lodging was locked. The churchyard was nearby. He had pulled it and it had come free. He had intended to put it back after. Hector was quiet for a long moment. Then he took Arthur and Kay and he walked to the churchyard. He put the sword back in the stone. He asked Arthur to pull it again. Arthur pulled it. It came free. Hector put it back. He tried to pull it himself. He could not move it. He gave it to Kay. Kay tried. He could not move it. He gave it back to Arthur. Arthur pulled it again. Every time. Without effort. Without strain. As if the stone simply offered it to him. Hector stood in the churchyard and looked at his foster son. He was putting things together. Things he had wondered about for years. The strange visitor in the night all those years ago. The infant with no history. The things about Arthur that had never quite added up. The way Merlin always came. The way Merlin always looked at the boy. He knelt. On the cold stone of the churchyard, he knelt before the boy he had raised. Kay knelt beside him. Arthur looked at them kneeling before him, and something in him went very still. He did not understand what was happening. He asked them to get up. He asked them what they were doing. His voice was steady, but his face was not. Hector looked up at him. He said that Arthur was not his son. He said it as gently as he could say something that cannot be said gently. He said it was time to tell him the truth. Word went out from the churchyard. The bishop was summoned. Then other lords. Then the whole assembled gathering of the tournament was brought to the churchyard to watch. Arthur pulled the sword again and again in front of them all. Every time. The great lords of Britain stood in a churchyard and watched a boy of 15 pull a sword from a stone. Some of them were angry. Some were shaken. Some were both. Some knelt. Others did not. The ones who did not knelt rode away from London before the day was out. They rode home to their own halls to think about what they had seen, to decide what it meant for them, to decide what they were going to do about it. Merlin came. He had been waiting for this moment for 15 years. He came to the churchyard and he stood before Arthur and he told him everything. He told him about Uther, about Igraine, about Tintagel and the night of the bargain, about his own birth and his own removal from that birth and the years at Hector's house. He told it plainly, without softening the parts that were difficult. The bargain, the deception, the mother who had held him for a single night before he was taken. He told all of it. Arthur listened. He was 15 years old. He stood in a churchyard in London on a cold January morning, and he listened to a man tell him that everything he knew about himself was not the whole truth. That the father he had known was not his father. That the mother he had never known was a woman still living. That the king he had grown up thinking of as simply the king was in fact his father, was dead. Had been dead for some years. He listened to all of it. He did not interrupt. He stood with the sword in his hand and he listened. When Merlin had finished, there was a silence. The people around them were quiet. Even the great lords who had been angry were quiet now. Arthur looked at Hector. Hector's face was the face of a man who is trying to hold himself steady under the weight of a complicated feeling. He had raised this boy. He had loved this boy. He had always known this day might come. Knowing it might come had not made it simpler. He had spent 15 years not thinking about it too directly, living each ordinary day as if it were simply an ordinary day. Now the ordinary days were over. Arthur went to him. He said something that the stories have remembered. He said that whatever else was true, Hector was his father. He said that the man who raises you is your father. He said that the years on the estate and the horses and the river and the village and all the ordinary days of his ordinary life were real. more real to him than any king. He said he would not forget it. He said it looking directly at Hector. Hector held him. He held him the way he had held him as a small child when something had frightened him. Then he let him go. He stepped back. He looked at him. He could see, looking now with all of it known, what he had always seen in pieces. The quality of the boy, what he was, what he was going to have to be. Then the news spread from the churchyard outward through the city. The boy who had pulled the sword, the unknown boy, the son of Uther Pendragon, the next king of Britain. They did not simply accept it. This is important. The petty kings of Britain did not look at a 15-year-old boy standing in a churchyard holding a sword and immediately kneel. Some of them were furious. They had spent years positioning themselves for this moment. They had armies. They had alliances. They had reasons, carefully constructed reasons, why they should be the one sitting in Uther's place. A boy with a sword from a stone was not what they had planned for. They said the magic could not be trusted, that Merlin was a manipulator, that the sword proved nothing about the right to rule, that Britain needed a warrior king, an experienced man, not a child. Some of them formed alliances among themselves. They rode back to their kingdoms, and they sent messages to each other, and they gathered forces. The first year of Arthur's kingship was also a year of war. Several wars, running together, overlapping, the borders of one conflict bleeding into another. Arthur fought. He had been trained to fight, and he was good at it. He was not reckless. He was not the kind of young king who leads charges to prove himself and gets men killed. He listened to his commanders. He asked questions before he gave orders. He learned the ground before he committed to a plan. He was also, when it came to it, genuinely brave. Not the performed bravery of someone who needs to be seen. The quiet bravery of someone who has decided what needs to be done and does it. His men noticed. Word got around the way word does. That the boy king was worth following. That he did not spend lives carelessly. That he won because he thought, not only because he fought. Merlin was at his side through all of this. Not fighting. Merlin did not fight. But advising, warning, telling Arthur things about the men around him that Arthur could not yet see for himself. He taught Arthur what a king needed to know. Not the ceremony of it, the substance, what justice meant in practice. How to read the men around him. How to hold conflicting loyalties in balance. How to be firm without being brutal. How to be generous without being weak. How to forgive an enemy in a way that turned him into an ally. How to refuse a demand in a way that left the person's dignity intact. Arthur learned. He was a good learner. He had always been a good learner. He had always been curious about how things worked. Now the thing he needed to understand was the most complicated thing there was. People, power. The management of a kingdom that did not want to be managed. He learned and he fought and he negotiated and he made mistakes and he acknowledged the mistakes and he moved on. Slowly, over years, the resistance softened. The kings who had ridden away from London came back. Some came willingly. Some came because they had been defeated. Some came because they had watched and waited and concluded that the boy who had pulled the sword was becoming something worth following. Slowly, the kingdom came to him. Not all at once. Not without cost. But it came. The sword from the stone was not Excalibur. This is something the stories sometimes confuse. They were two different swords. The sword in the stone was the proof of his kingship, the instrument of the revelation. It served its purpose. And then one day it broke. In a battle that was not going well. Against a king who had refused to yield and whose stubbornness had pushed the fighting into a gully where the ground was uneven and the advantage of numbers could not be properly applied. The sword shattered against a blow it should have turned. Arthur found himself in the middle of a battle holding a broken hilt. He was not harmed. The battle resolved itself. But the sword was gone. Merlin took him to a lake in the western country where the water was dark and still. The reeds at the edge grew tall. The hills around it were low and rounded, covered in rough grass. It was a quiet place. A place with that quality that certain British landscapes have, of being between the ordinary world and something else, of sitting at the edge of something you cannot see but can feel. They stood at the water's edge. The surface of the lake was still. It reflected the grey sky above. Merlin told him to watch. An arm rose from the water. Just an arm, clothed in white, holding a sword. The arm was still. It held the sword steadily above the surface. The sword was unlike the sword in the stone. It was magnificent. The blade caught the light in a way that ordinary metal did not. A brightness to it that came from somewhere inside the metal itself. The hilt was worked with a craft that went beyond anything Arthur had seen. A boat appeared on the water. It came from somewhere. From the middle of the lake. In the boat was a woman. She was dressed in white. Her face was calm. She brought the boat to the shore without paddling. The boat simply moved. She was the lady of the lake. She brought the sword to the shore. She held it out. Arthur took it. He held it. He felt the weight of it. It was perfectly balanced. It felt like an extension of his hand. He looked at Merlin. He asked him which was better, the sword or the scabbard. Merlin looked at him steadily. He said the scabbard. He told Arthur that while he wore the scabbard of Excalibur, he could not die from blood loss. Any wound he took would be sealed. He would not bleed out. He would not die of a wound that would kill another man. The sword was a weapon. The scabbard was a life. He told Arthur to keep the scabbard as carefully as the sword. More carefully. Arthur listened. He kept them both. He wore them from that day. The sword at his hip. The scabbard close. They rode away from the lake through the western country. The lake behind them was still again. The arm was gone. The boat was gone. Only the reeds and the dark water and the reflection of the grey sky remained. As if nothing had happened. As if nothing had ever happened there. It came with Guinevere. This is one of the things the stories remember. When Arthur married Guinevere, her father Leodegrance gave it as a wedding gift. It had been Uther's table originally. Made for Uther at Merlin's suggestion years before Arthur was born. Leodegrance had kept it. Had kept it carefully. Had understood, in some way he could not fully articulate, that it was important. That it was waiting for something. Now it came back into the story it had been made for. It was round. This was the point of it. A round table has no head. No seat that is higher than another. No place that announces itself as more important than the places beside it. Every seat at a round table is equal in form. A king sitting at a round table sits as his knights sit. He is still the king. The equality is symbolic. But symbols matter. They shape how people think about themselves. They shape what is possible. A man who sits as an equal, even if he is not equal, begins to think differently about the men beside him. This mattered to Arthur. He had thought about it. He had thought about the problem of men and their pride. About how much of the conflict in Britain came from exactly that. From the question of who sat higher. Who was addressed first? Who was given precedence at a feast? Whose banner was placed on whose left? The table was an answer to that question. A practical, physical, daily answer. Around this table, Arthur gathered his knights. He chose them carefully. Not only for their fighting ability, for their character. For the oath they were willing to swear and the seriousness with which they swore it. The oath was specific. To be brave. To be merciful. To defend those who could not defend themselves. To give succor to those in need. To treat women with honor. To never refuse a challenge from an equal. to never fight for an unjust cause, to never commit murder, to never show cruelty. These were not easy things to live by. The knights who sat at the table were not all always equal to them. They were human. They failed sometimes significantly. But the oath existed. The standard was set. And having the standard mattered, even if no one met it perfectly. Having a thing to aim for changes how you aim. The Hall of Camelot was built around the table. The table sat at its center. The fire burned in the long hearths. The banners of the fellowship hung from the stone walls, each one representing a knight. A person who had looked at the oath and said yes, who had sat at the round table and committed themselves. Merlin watched it fill over the years, night by night, name by name, each one a piece of what was being built. He had imagined this. In the long years before Arthur was born, he had imagined something like this. The reality of it was not exactly what he had imagined. It never is. But it was real. It was here. It was happening. There was a time when it worked. This is what is worth remembering at the end of this part of the story. Before the fractures. Before the long unraveling that comes later in the telling. There was a time when what Arthur had built was genuinely working. The roads were safer. Not perfectly safe. Nothing is ever perfectly safe, but safer than they had been in the kingless years. A merchant could travel between towns without the particular fear that had made traveling a calculation of risk. He still took care. He still traveled in company when he could. But the fear had changed quality. It was not the fear of a world without order. It was the ordinary caution of a world that has order but is not perfect. That is a very different thing. The disputes between kingdoms were being resolved through the court at Camelot rather than through armies. Men who had fought each other came to Camelot and sat at the same table and put their grievances before Arthur. He heard them. He gave judgment. The judgments were not always popular. Sometimes each side went away equally dissatisfied. But they went away without their swords drawn. This mattered enormously. It saved lives. Hundreds of lives over the years. Thousands. The lives of men who would have died in fields and on roads if the disputes had been settled the old way. The fellowship of the Round Table was real. The knights who sat at it were, most of them, most of the time trying to live by the oath they had sworn. They were not always succeeding, but they were trying. And the trying was visible in the world. In the stories that came back to Camelot. Of a knight who had helped a traveller in distress. Of a knight who had refused a payment that was not rightfully his. Of a knight who had returned from a quest having failed, but having failed honestly. These were the stories that built the reputation of Camelot. Not the victories, the character. People traveled without the particular fear that had been ordinary in the kingless years. The monasteries were safe. The farms were productive. The markets in the towns were full. Children who had been born into the anxiety of the kingless years were growing up in something better. They were growing up in a world that was not perfect, but was trying. That was building towards something. That had a sense of itself. Arthur sat at the round table in the evenings with his knights around him. He was older now than the boy who had pulled the sword from the stone. He carried the years differently. He had fought wars and settled disputes and made decisions that had kept him awake at night, and decisions he had made easily and woken the next morning, wondering if he had been too easy. He had lost men he valued. He had failed people who had counted on him. He had also built something real. He knew this. He was not the kind of king who needed to be told. He could see it in the world around him, in the way Camelot felt. The fire in the hearths, the faces around the table, the sound of a hall at peace. Merlin sat near him in the evenings. The old man who had shaped everything from before the beginning, who had made the bargain and waited and arranged and watched. He was quieter now than he had been. He had less to arrange. The thing he had been working toward for so long had come to pass. He sat in the hall of Camelot and he watched the king he had made. He was satisfied. Not triumphant. Satisfaction is a quieter thing than triumph. It sits lower in the chest. It does not announce itself. It is simply there, steady and real. Outside the castle, the kingdom was dark. The roads were empty. The villages were quiet. The fires were banked in the farmhouses. Britain was sleeping. The way a country sleeps when it is, for a time, held safely. When the thing that has been built is holding. When the long, difficult work of making something has produced something real. It would not last forever. Nothing does. The fractures would come. The losses would come. The stories that follow this one are darker and more complicated. But that is not this story. This story ends here. At the dawn. At the beginning. At the moment when the thing that was built was still whole. Still bright. Still itself. The night is old. Britain is dark outside. The old hills are dark. The rivers are dark. The ancient roads are empty. Somewhere, if the stories are true, Camelot still sits on its hill. The round table still at the center of it. The fire still burning. The fellowship still gathered. Always at its best moment. Always at the dawn. Let the image settle. Let the fire burn low in your mind. Let the kingdom rest. Let yourself rest with it. The story is done. Sleep now. This has been the story of Arthur and the sword in the stone.